You're listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, episode number 274, 3 Lessons I Learned This Year. This episode is for you if you're ready for lots of reflection and powerful lessons that can move you into 2025 feeling good. And these are lessons that I feel stood out amongst the many things that I've learned this year. These really stood out as the top 3 that were things that I have never experienced before, things that really changed my outlook and perspective on important things in life. And I'm really excited to share them with you. So the first lesson is that life's greatest joys can truly come out of life's greatest challenges. And I learned this specifically with regards to my bed and how much I love sleeping in my own bed and how much gratitude I have when I get under the covers at night and the sheets are so soft and the bed is so comfortable and I have plenty of room for my legs to stretch out. I feel more gratitude than I have ever felt in my entire life for that. And the reason is because for a month, I slept on a couch that maybe was the size of this. I would argue it was probably a little smaller. Pleather material, about this long, shared with my husband, Richie, in the hospital when we were there with our son, Michael. So I put my head on one side. Richie put his head on the other side. So I had feet in my face. And poor Richie, I mean, he's probably like 5'10". I hope I don't get his height wrong on this. I feel like he wouldn't like that. I'm guessing he's like 5'10" or something. So, I mean, he's somewhat tall and his legs could barely fit. And I could only fit on the couch if I laid sideways. So like this part of my body was touching. Like I couldn't lay flat. Otherwise, we couldn't both fit. So could you imagine doing that for a month? It was awful. And we had sheets, and sheets were our blankets, and the hospital pillows, which were not very comfortable. And that was it. And when we came home, the first night home, it was the best night of my entire life that I've ever had, for sure, 100%. Nothing like it in the world of just feeling like we were going to be in that hospital for so long and feeling so grateful that we were coming home. And we got in bed and we were just so grateful to be in our bed. And I said to myself, this is amazing, but I bet it won't last. Because, when something's new, something's exciting, whether you buy a new pair of shoes or a new car. And at first, every time you get in it, oh my gosh, it's the new car. And then eventually it fades, it wears off. But this feeling, it hasn't gone away. Every time I get in bed, I'm like, oh my gosh, how amazing is this that we're home, that our baby is healthy, that we can sleep in our own bed in our own home. And I think I'm going to have that feeling for the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful. And I wouldn't go through the challenge again if I had to choose it. But because I didn't have a choice and because that's how life unfolds sometimes, looking back, I feel so grateful that you can find so much gratitude on the other side of a challenge. And so one thing I would encourage you to think about is what was the biggest challenge you went through this year? And now that you're on the other side of it, what gratitude can you find that actually brings joy to daily life? That's what's so cool about it. The challenge can bring joy to daily life because every night I get in bed, I have extra joy. And you have that too with something in your life. So just take a couple minutes to reflect on that and reflect on the challenge and process whatever you need to process with how difficult it was, but also what came out of it on the other side. So that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is a lesson that comes from being busy as a new mom and trying to be a mom and be home with Michael taking care of him most of the time, and also be a business owner. That can be quite challenging. And it's similar to anyone who is a mom or a dad and who works. To manage career and family is just a new challenge. And For a while, I was trying to figure out how to stay motivated, how I could actually make progress in my business and do the things I wanted to do. And I tried many different tactics, but I found that the thing that really helps me stay accountable more than anything else is having a vision that sparks my light. So lesson number 2 is having a vision that sparks your light is the best tool for accountability. And anytime you're feeling like you're struggling with staying accountable, go back to your vision. Is your vision exciting you? Is it truly sparking your light? Is it something that you really want to work on, even when you don't want to work on it? That's the key. Do you know what I mean? Those times when you don't physically feel like doing anything, but if you were going to do something, it would probably be that thing that you're so excited about. That's how I feel about writing my next book. It's just, do I feel like sitting down and actually writing every day? Absolutely not. But am I kind of giddy about it when I think about it? And even on the times I don't physically have the energy to do it, I still do it. And I'm accountable to the things I say I'm going to do. Yes, because I have a vision that sparks my light. So if you don't have a vision that sparks your light, it's really, really important to go back to it. Now, lesson number 3 is perfect if you were listening and thinking, oh, I don't know if I have a vision that sparks my light. Because lesson number 3 is that you don't have to have it all figured out. I thought for so long that you needed a clear plan and a clear goal. And all you have to do is take the steps and you'll achieve the goal. And then you figure out what the vision is for the next goal. And then you take the steps and you achieve the goal. And life is a perfectly organized little puzzle. But the truth is, that's not how life goes. And sometimes you don't have it figured out. You just don't know what's next or where to turn. And I felt like this in multiple areas of my life before having a baby. I felt like I didn't exactly know what my business was going to look like. How could I possibly comprehend what it would be like being a mom and having a business and what changes I might want to make, what my work days would look like, what the structure would be? How could I possibly know until I was living it? We talk about our water, ice, and ice cream shop that we own a lot. And that's a business that we have vision for. But sometimes we're not sure what the next step is. Should we open another store? Should we get a food truck? Should we this? Should we that? And so that's another thing. Last year, we felt like we just weren't sure what was next. And because of that, we started to try to figure it out, try to come up with ideas, constantly have these brainstorm sessions. And it doesn't really get you anywhere to force. Forcing a vision is kind of like that analogy trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. No, that's not it. A square peg in a round hole. That's it, because it won't fit. See, no matter how much you try to bang it in, it's never going to fit. That's what it's like trying to force your vision. You can't just arbitrarily decide what the vision is. You have to be sparked by it. And spark doesn't come from force. So what I learned this year is that all of those things that I was trying to force and figure out, they solve themselves. With my business, it was so clear to me exactly what to let go of, which directions to move in after I picked up work again, after taking some time off. And the same was true for our ice cream shop. We started to figure out exactly what we wanted to do next as opportunities came to us, as we pursued things that sparked our light. Oh, we really want to focus on catering and this and that. And it just started to come together. So if you're in a place where you feel like you're kind of forcing that vision, you're pulling teeth, I want to remind you to take a step back and just take one step at a time. With each next step you take, you'll be able to see what that step after is. And eventually, the vision will start to come together. You don't have to have a perfectly painted picture. You can have a canvas that you have some background colors painted on and you're starting to see it, but you're not going to see it come together until it is coming together. You won't know until you know, and you can't force yourself to know before you know. So instead, just allow it to unfold. Take one step at a time. Do your part. Show up for yourself. Show up for your dreams. So I think this could be misconstrued to mean that, okay, because I'm not supposed to force it, I should just do nothing. And I believe that it's important to make space for our goals, to make space for creativity, to make space for inspiration. I want you to think about when you've had your best ideas in life. Think about where you were, what you were doing, any ideas that have really just profoundly changed something for you. Maybe you had a breakthrough about your career path, or maybe you had a realization you wanted to look at a situation that was giving you a lot of stress and anxiety a different way, and it just felt so much lighter. I want you to think about those moments. Where were you? What were you doing? For a lot of people, they'll say things like, I was in the shower. I was driving. I was meditating. I was writing in my journal. I was laying in bed at night. I was talking to my therapist. Whatever it is, you probably had those ideas when there was space. So I believe in making space for your dreams by showing up for them. So for example, when I wasn't sure what to do in my business, I just carved aside a work day and thought to myself, okay, here's some time. I'm going to just take one step at a time and do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I did. And with our ice cream shop, we just kept doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So it doesn't mean sit back and do nothing. But it also doesn't mean, okay, I have to jam pack my schedule from 9 to 5 with all these forceful things. Create space and take the next step you feel inspired to take. But Jacqueline, what happens if you don't feel inspired? Just ask yourself, what's the next step? You usually know what the next step is. Start there. So that's lesson number 3. You don't have to have it all figured out. It will unfold if you keep showing up and if you keep following your spark. Those are the only things you have to do. That's what you have to be accountable for. If you're accountable for those things, everything else will take care of itself. So those are my 3 lessons from the year. How I'm applying these next year, because I think that's important. I am being more positive in challenging times, knowing that it's not just about getting through it, but it's also about feeling more gratitude on the other side of it. So that reminder up front really helps me with my mindset. For lesson number 2, I am fully committed to connecting to vision that sparks my light. I think I'm going to make a new vision board and set it as my iPhone background. I always love doing that. It's tempting because right now I have a photo of our family. So it's hard to want to change that. Maybe I'll make it my laptop background. That's a better choice, actually. So I have these templates, these vision board templates, where one is for laptop and one is for cell phone background. So I'll link them in the show notes if anyone wants to download them. They're just on Canva and you can drag and drop photos to those. So I'm going to make a vision board so I can stay connected to that vision and just look at it every time I open my laptop. Every time I'm working, I want to see the photos that inspire me for what I'm creating. That is so fun and exciting for me. So I'm going to do that. And for the last one, I'm going to be more patient with myself and just let each step unfold. I'm still going to set all the goals. I'm still going to make the plans. But when I don't know what's next, or I don't know what's the bigger picture, I'm going to just trust it more than I ever have before because I have so much evidence. And you too have so much evidence in your life. So if this is something you feel like you struggle with, I want you to just think about what times in your life did you not know, but you figured out. Whether they kind of came to you, they unfolded in the perfect manner because an opportunity showed up, or things just kind of fit together and made sense. It always happens in all areas of our life. It's amazing. So I'm going to be more open to that and release on the trying to control all the pieces a little bit more this year. So thanks for listening. I hope these lessons were helpful for you as you go into the new year. And I hope you have the most amazing week filled with lots of light sparking activities. And I will catch you in the next episode.